Hi everyone, today I'm going to be addressing a recent video by a YouTuber by the name of Riley J. Dennis, which is called What is a TERF?
Radfems, gender critical feminists. Real women, trans exclusionary, radfems or gender critical feminists. Women's empowerment. Real women, biological women, XX, real women or real females.
Now I'm not going to use my usual format where I go through point by point because it would take too long, but not just that, also because I've addressed all the kind of straw man arguments that he's setting up.
Body mutilation, unnatural body mutilation. Men and
in other videos already, which I'll link to in the description, and I just don't feel the need to repeat myself, to be honest. But what I do want to address is that some of the key points about his video, because I think it's important. So there's a few key claims and statements that Riley J. Dennis makes in his video that I take exception to. The first is
trans women are real women. Trans women are biological women.
The second is
hating TERFs means supporting trans women.
But then he goes on to essentially give his definition of what he thinks a TERF is. I mean, he's gone on about it for ages in his video, but this is the nuts and bolts of what grinds his gears.
Now I want to talk briefly about TERFism 2.0. This is a new kind of TERFism that I've only seen popping up recently. I'm sure it's been around for longer, but it seems to me like it's been more prevalent in the last year or so. TERFism 2.0 is where TERFs make tiny concessions to draw people in, but hold their ground on their overall point. A perfect example of this is that some modern day TERFs have stopped saying trans women are men, and instead have started saying trans women are women, but they're male. Substituting men for male has allowed them to be more politically correct while still sending the same message.
So essentially Riley's categorizing TERFs into two areas. Like, you've got the one which say that trans women are men, which is factually true because a man is an adult human male, and then you've got the more politically correct women that kind of, you know, they've come up with some definition of woman that doesn't refer to sex, which I'd love to hear because I don't actually see a coherent definition of woman that doesn't mean adult human female, but they've somehow in their heads managed to do that, and then they say trans women are male, and they do this to make concessions, you know, because they want to be nice or whatever, they want to be politically correct. So he's absolutely right in that we need to ask, why does it bother him and trans activists overall that when women do this, but it doesn't seem to bother them when men do this? Like, most people, in fact, everyone knows that trans women are male. Everyone knows that trans women are men. People are saying otherwise just to be polite, or, you know, because they don't want to get considered hateful or whatever. But the fact is, everyone knows this. So why does it bother him that specifically only when it's women doing it? Which brings me back to the first, one of the early points that he made.
If you say that TERFs are extremely harmful anti-trans bigots, 1 million people will pop up to call you a misogynist because TERFs are largely women. Okay, so what?
So here's where the hyperbole starts, where he thinks that 1 million people are even interested of what he's got to say or even know who he is. No, I think a lot of women respond to being called a sexist slur because they are offended because it's quite clearly directed at women, hence why it's a sexist slur. I mean, if it was another word like asshole, it could refer to either men or women, couldn't it? But it's not. It's directed at women, so that's what makes it sexist. So at this stage, I just want to emphasize stuff that I've already said in other videos. There is no such thing as a TERF. There is no such thing. This idea that there's real TERFs, there's TERF 1.0, there's TERF 2.0 is an absolute fabrication. It's a straw man. It's the big bad witch, that's the auntie, the bad person, the bad woman that's badly behaved. That she doesn't exist. And I've said this in all my different videos on this subject and shown categorically that this is nonsense. I've had people try to get me over the course of the time to concede to the idea that I'm one of the good ones and there's these bad ones hiding around the corner in the alley, who are the really bad ones. But I can tell you, these people don't exist. This is just, you know, it's just a slur. it doesn't describe anything real. It's directed at women, particularly lesbians, but also increasingly mothers, you know, who know what it's like to go through pregnancy and childbirth and all that stuff, and you know, and they recognize this is nonsense. So the real concern here is what he's saying in this clip.
Hating TERFs means supporting trans women.
Quite clearly, that is incitement to hate women and lesbians, what he's saying, and yet he gets a free pass because he's saying he's a progressive to hate on women. I mean, his entire video is the Pied Piper of transplaining. It's directed at children, and if you don't believe me, put your YouTube channel on restricted mode and go and see how many of his videos are visible to children. He is targeting children, and he's trying to sell this idea to them that any woman that knows about biology needs to be vilified. So women that are on the edge of this and going, oh, I think trans women are women, but you know, but sex and gender are different. You ain't gonna get away with it with these people. They're not gonna stop until you completely concede. So you need to stop trying to say, I'm one of the good ones, you know, there's those bad ones over there, but honestly I'm not that bad, because it's not going to work. People like Riley J. Dennis are out for your blood. They will not settle for anything but total compliance, and you just need to stand up for yourself and stop being weak, because there's a lot more of you than there are of them. And the fact is, Riley J. Dennis knows this, otherwise he wouldn't be making this video. Just don't bow to it, because everyone knows that trans women are men. So let's cut the bullshit. Let's stand up for ourselves and let's stop being weak, because this nonsense is seeping into legislation and policy, and you will lose your rights to even speak about yourself. And you'll lose your rights to be a lesbian. You'll lose your rights to speak about issues that predominantly affect women. And you'll lose your rights to free speech, to name reality, to say the emperor has no clothes. It's about time people took this issue seriously, because it's not going to end here. And also the fact that they're fighting us, the fact that people like Riley J. Dennis are making videos and they're no longer ignoring it, shows that they're losing. They're starting to lose, despite all the money behind them, despite the fact that the media are cowering, the medical profession are cowering. They are losing, because there's too many women that are no longer prepared to stand for this stuff. So it's about time women stopped allowing this ridiculous slur to be used, because it incitement. It's used to incite hatred towards us, and it's about time women said no.